looks like somebody was removed. I'm not sure why. That happened yesterday too when I was doing one. Somebody just got removed by accident. I'm not sure what happened. I wonder if there's some settings changes for some districts that we need to take a peek at. Either way, let me present my screen. If while I'm presenting my screen, if you could put a here in the chat if you just joined us. The reason I'm asking you to do that is that's how I'm going to take attendance today. I'm also going to be able to use Seesaw as my attendance. So go ahead and do that as well. And I will make my screen big in just a moment. I know my screen's little, so you may not be able to see everything yet. All right, so I've made my screen large. So what I'm going to do is kind of do a very quick overview of Seesaw. If you want in the chat, if you're new to Seesaw, let me know that, and I'll take a step back and kind of show some of the features here. But what we're going to do is I'm kind of doing it from the assumption that you at least have some familiarity with Seesaw and how it's used. You might have used it during the remote learning in the spring, but if you're brand new to it, that's okay. We'll get you caught up as well. But what I'm showing you now is the teacher dashboard. So what you're seeing on your screen is the teacher side of things. And you'll notice in the top left-hand corner is my name, and it says teacher. That's where you're going to know if you are logged in as a teacher or as a student. So make sure when you go over to your Seesaw that you see whatever level you're supposed to be on. And the reason for that is you can toggle between a teacher account and a student account and even a parent account. So you can have 3 different accounts with the same email address right within Seesaw, which is really nice. Very unlike maybe some other EdTech tools that you use that you have to use different email addresses to kind of see everything. Here you can see it all in one place. When I click on my name, you're going to see that I have all of my classes, and these are all demo classes. I don't teach in a classroom anymore. If you don't know me, I should probably back up and say that. If you don't know me, I'm Lori Guion. I am the coordinator for model schools at BOCES. Prior to that, I was an integration specialist in Schuylerville. I know I've got a couple Schuylerville friends on here, so hello. And prior to that, I was a 6th grade teacher, mostly with English, but definitely taught all of the subjects at some point or other while I was there. But what we're going to do is kind of walk you through how it looks like. I'm just showing you right now from the teacher perspective. So you can see all of my classes here. If I'm a student in a class, I have to toggle over to that student account. And to do that, I click on my little gear icon next to my name, and I can switch to family or student account. When I do that, I'm going to see any classes that I'm enrolled in versus ones that I'm the teacher in. So if you have your Seesaw up and you're logged in as a teacher, you can click on switch to student account. If you've never used it as a student account, this may not show up yet. So you're going to click sign out. And the reason I'm going to have you do that is I want everyone to be on this screen. So I'm going to give you a moment to open up a new tab and go to this screen. Don't click any of the buttons yet. Just go over to this screen where it says I'm a teacher, I'm a student, I'm a family member. I'm going to give you all a moment to do that. Awesome. All right, we have some newbies on here. Awesome. That'll be good. I'm still sharing my screen, so I'm just going to go over to Seesaw on another device to show you the student side or another account. I'll log out. Okay. So does everyone have a second window up that they're ready to log in as a student? Did everyone that has used Seesaw before been able to either sign out of their teacher account or at least switch over to getting over to where you can see the same thing that I see on my screen right now? If anyone's struggling with that, please put in the chat or unmute. And if you're brand new to Seesaw, I highly recommend that you come back to me for the one that I have later, the Seesaw workshop. I'm spending 2 hours on Seesaw for that one, and I'm going to be walking through all the basics, including the new things. So this one's more like the 360 overview. That one's going to be much more of a deep dive. There are even deeper dives. Like I ran last week, I ran 2 full-day workshops on Seesaw for specific schools, and you literally could spend the whole day learning all the ins and outs of Seesaw. But while you guys are getting to this page, just to give you an overview of what Seesaw is, It is a learning journal. And the reason I use those words is it's where the students are showcasing what they know. It's still a place where you can assign work to them, but it's where they're going to showcase and apply their knowledge. It's where they're going to be creating, where they're going to be explaining what they're doing. They're going to showcase what they know in a really creative and engaging way. All right, so that's why I like to look at Seesaw. I mentioned you can have 3 different accounts. You can have a teacher account, a student account, and a family account. Your parents can be logged into the family app on their phone or an iPad or whatever, or they can go to a website as a family member and see their students' work. And you can choose to have your parents do that. They'll only see their students' folder. In the remote world, there are remote learning codes, and I'm going to show you, for those of you who use ClassLink or Clever, how to make sure that you have the same setup, even though your classes are self-populated for you through your school. But I'll show you how that should look if they're a student working from home. So if you're in a hybrid model or a remote model, how you set up your Seesaw is going to look a little different than how it's going to look if you're setting it up for your classroom. But what I want all of you to do right now is click I'm a student. And I don't want you to sign in. I know people like to quickly, they're like, oh, there's Google, I'm going to sign in. I'm going to give you a text code that you're going to put in a box at the bottom here. Don't do anything else on the screen. All right, I got to toggle over to my other one and log back in. And Blended Learning Workshop is the name of this one, correct? Make sure I'm in the right class. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to give you a code. And you're going to put that code into your Seesaw. So your code that you're going to type in that student box is UYGKNW. And I'm going to put it in the chat. This is the hardest part of what you're going to do today. Getting logged into Seesaw, by far the hardest part. Once you put that code in, click go. And you're going to find your name in the list. If you don't see your name in the list, tell me in the chat and I will add you. Because there might have been some people that added since I made the student list. How we doing? Anyone need help? My name is not on the list. Michelle S. All right, I'm going to put you on, Michelle. All right, you might need to refresh your page, Michelle, but once you do that, you will see your name on the list, and you'll be able to go from there. Let's see if there's anyone else. Krista, I'll add you. Krista S. Same thing, Krista, just refresh your screen. Michelle L. I set it up last week, but I know some more people joined in. Emily. Okay, so Emily, Michelle, and Krista. Yep. Anyone else I need to add to the list? All right. So now that you are in the class, let's look at it from that student perspective real quick here. So I had you sign in as a as a student. So you'll notice that as a student, if you click over to journal, you can see all of your students' names here. And as a teacher, when we're doing this remote learning, you want to make sure that the students can't see other students' work. And I'm going to show you how to shut that down first. And I think it's a really important thing to kind of set up right before we jump into anything else. So let me go back to here. So sorry about toggling so much on you. I know it's hard on your screen to see that. You're still able to see my screen, correct? I have it stopped sharing. Yeah, all right. So on the teacher side, not on your screen, but on the teacher side, I have this wrench in the top right-hand corner. And when I click on that, I can go down to the students section And there are things that I'm going to change. Now, if you're doing this in class, it's okay for students to see each other's work, right? We know that it's all right because we want them to collaborate. We want them to encourage each other. We want to build a community. But when we're doing this remotely, or we're using this as a virtual environment, know that their parents and grandparents or other guardians that are looking over a student's shoulder, and you don't want them to have access to any other information other than your students. Think about student privacy there, right? We want to make sure that we're following all of our laws as far as making sure that we're protecting students' privacy. So what you want to shut off is right here. It says students can see each other's work. You want to toggle that one off, and then you're going to click confirm change. It's probably going to prompt you to log back in. Sorry about that. I should have done it beforehand before I had you sign in. I forgot that it makes you refresh. But you want to make sure that is knocked off, shut off, however you want to look at it. And the reason for that is you don't want your students to see each other's work. So let's see what it did to you. All right, so is it making you log off? Yep. So click I'm a student again. I'm going to give you a new class code because it's going to give you a new one. Let me give you a new class code, and you're going to do that again. Sorry about that. You'll learn as you go here. So your new class code is KVSBBF. And again, I'll put it in the chat. Click on your name. Yep, I just put the new code in for you, for Jay Eversole. If you don't see your name on the list, let me know. I will add you. Jen asked, is there a way to make it so other students can see certain work but not others? During virtual, I want students to be able to see each other's reading responses but not math worksheets. So what I would suggest is toggling that button on and off, but it does, again, make them log on and off. The other thing you can do is set up the blog and post the work that you want students to see in the blog, and then students can comment there versus in the journal. So you can choose to set it up that way. And the students will have access to the blog. Really good question. Yeah. All right, I gotta log back in myself. Okay. So now when I click over to the journal, I'm only going to see my name. It takes out all of the students in there. So I'm on the student side right now, and I can only see me. This is how it should look for your students for home learning. When they're in the classroom, no biggie, right? You can let them see each other's work. And that's why I said you can toggle this on and off, but just know that when you do that, your students have to re-sign in each time. So if you're going to turn it on while they're in school, before they leave for the day, make sure that you have them sign back in. So when they take their devices home, they are logged in and ready to go when they get home. All right, so that's kind of a key one there. All right, so now I'm going to switch over to, actually, I'm going to stay in the student. Let's do that. So I'm in Seesaw as a student right now. And let's go over what you see on your page as a student. On the right-hand side, you have the journal, you have activities, and you have inbox. If I had set up the blog, you'd also see the blog. So you'd have all four of those as an option as you're going through and deciding, as the student is looking at it to see what work they have. Just to kind of go over what each of those are for some of our new people on here. The journal is, think of it as a place where you can post work. It's where I'll post announcements for the class. Think of it like your Facebook kind of stream or your Google Classroom stream. Those are the things that are going to show up in your journal. The activities tab is your assignments. And these are if you set it up as an activity. Could you set up a journal activity for them to do? Yes. But activities are a good place for you to kind of start to put in work that they need to do. So you might have, the students might click over here and see one for English, one for math, one for science, one for social studies, one for music, however many teachers are in your class, they can see all of that information in the activities. Big changes coming to this activities tab and this to-do list. Those should be rolling out any day now. They said around the 15th. There's some new updates that are coming, and I'll show you those in just a few minutes. But you'll see some differences in how it organizes things in here. So even though I'm showing it to you from the student side, know that it's going to look a little different in about a week. The inbox is going to be any messages that your teacher might have put as an announcement, and notifications are going to be anything as far as any activities that have happened within your class. So the teacher has approved that your activity is good or has sent something back to you, you're going to start to see those appear either in the activities tab or in the inbox in the notifications tab. So let's stay with the student side right now, and you'll notice I gave you an activity, and this one's called Seesaw PD. When you don't click on it yet, but when you when your students are logged in and they see that they have an activity, they don't click on the activity up big. So if they do that, it's just going to open up for them, but it's not going to let you really do anything with it. What you need to do is click the green add response button. So go ahead and do that. So what I did is I set up a hyperdoc on Seesaw you're going to work through. What we're going to do it together. All right. So if you have any questions, I can toggle over and check. Oh, you did have a question. Stephanie asked, if we are remote learning, will they need to have a new code to log in every time? My students don't have personal email addresses. So remote codes, what happens with those? Let me toggle over. Great question, Stephanie. So let me do that first. So I'm going to go over the teacher side here. At the very top of my screen, you'll see it says use Seesaw for home learning, and it has a button that says get home learning codes. If you don't have that button when you're logged in as a teacher, right now you're logged in as a student, so don't toggle. But if you're logged in as a teacher and you don't see that, your admin needs to turn it on the admin panel. If you see it, they've already done that. When I click on this get home learning codes, what you can do is print the codes for your class. So I'm just going to click it for this class to just show you what they look like. So each student is going to get a piece of paper that's going to give them the link to the website. They're going to choose I'm a student. It's going to give them a code or a scan code. So if you're an iPad school, I know I've got Schuylerville Hill, they're an iPad school. Students can just scan this piece of paper and it'll bring them right where they need to go. Chromebooks, if you don't want to have them scan, they can type in this long code that you see on your screen. That code stays the same for them the whole time they're home doing work. That doesn't change. That home learning code stays the same because it's locked to each individual student. So this one's Amy's, this one's Andrea's, all right, this one's Emily's. You can see that. So you would send these home to each individual student. There is a way to print each code separate, so it's not one big long PDF. And that way you can give these codes to your students. So if they're on their own device, they can stay logged in once. They never have to do it again unless you change something in their settings and they need to re-log in. If they're using a shared device at home, like maybe they're using mom's computer and you've got 4 or 5 different kids that are using Seesaw, each time they'll have to scan that code to log back in. Really good question. All right, so if you want to do them individually on the students, you can do that in the wrench to grab the individual one for each student. So if you only need to send one home, like mom's like, I lost the sheet, could you re-email it to me? You can email it home to them. Great question. See if there were any more. Yeah, Jen asked about if you use ClassLink or Clever, students are just going to click on it in ClassLink and Clever, and it's going to do it for them. Yeah, they don't have to log in at all. So for your littles, I know Jen works with littles, they just have to click on that. So if you're a school that uses ClassLink or Clever, no worries. They're just going to do it through the dashboard that your admin has set up. Yep. All right. So if you're doing the individual PDF, sure, I can show that. Let me go back.
Lori, I'm not sure if Jen Eversole is still having sound issues, but her name wasn't on the list. So before it scrolls too far in the list.
Yes.
Jen E.
Jen E. We got it. I'll add her. Thank you. She is in. Perfect. And then I'm going to copy the code and put it back in the chat because it might have changed on her since I last put that in. You can hear now what you're not in. Okay, thank you, Maura, for helping us out too. All right, so what was I showing? The question was, how do you email certain pages? All right, so I'm here and I want to email a page to a student. I'm going to go into the wrench. I'm going to go into the manage students icon. I'm going to click on the person. So let's say I wanted to send it to Emily. I can click on her name and it has home learning student code. I can click get home learning code. It's going to bring a PDF and I can send this link or I can download it. I can print it, whatever you need to do with that link for each individual student.
Oh, okay, Lori, I was just wondering, like, in general, like if there was 12 pages in a PDF, if you were able, without doing the, even if it was something else, not particularly this code thing, if there was like a simple way just to email the one page.
Yeah, you'd have to split it up. So you could, in Seesaw, you could do it this way where you go to each individual one. If you had a 12-page PDF and you only want students to do page 10, Kami has a split and merge one that will let you split out to just grab one and then you can email or download right from there.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so let's go back in as a student and let's do the engage activity on your screen. So on your screen, I created, it says engage at the top. When I click on this one, you're going to see that this one is actually locked, or it should have been locked. I guess it got unlocked. It says engage, but in the box to the right of it, it says write your name in this box and add a picture of you to the left. So for some of you, because you're on Google Meet, your Chromebook or whatever you're on may not let you take a picture because you're already doing the video. So if you can't do that, don't worry about it. But I want you to click inside this box, delete what I wrote in it, and write your name. And then I want you to click on my picture and I want you to delete that out. And then I want you to take a picture of yourself and put that in. If you're new to Seesaw, to get a picture, you're going to click on the little camera icon, click on photo, click on allow, and then you can take a picture. And then put that picture right in. All right, so right now I'm on the student side. I've changed this text box to be my name. I put in a photo of myself. And then in the box below, I want you to share your knowledge of Seesaw. So you can say, I'm a beginner, I'm an expert, I can teach this class, whatever it happens to be. Don't do anything else. All right, Amy, I want to get you on because I know you just joined us. So let me just toggle over for a moment here. Amy, I'm going to give you a class code if you want to sign in as a student. Don't hit submit. I already have an approved post. Do not submit yet. So if you did that, pull it back because you're gonna be doing more work on it. So Amy Frazier, I think I just saw you come on. So there's your code. Sign in as a student so you can do this activity with us. So don't hit the check yet. If you did, just go back out and start again. Don't worry about it. And grab your picture, your name, and the box. All right, I'm moving on to the next screen. The next one down, and if you can't see the different lines along your right-hand side, there's a little arrow, or you'll see like it says what page you're on out of 9. Click on that button, and you'll see the other pages come up on the right-hand side of your screen. Click on slide 2. It should say Explore. I'm going to play a little video for you. Now that you're in the Explore part of our Seesaw HyperDoc, I want you to take some time and explore the features that you see on your page here. It's just going to give you a time to play around with the different tools and kind of try to figure out what all of them are. We'll take some time to go over together, but I want you to take a little time to explore first. All right, so this is a new feature that you can now put a video on each page. And I wanted you to see the new feature because it's pretty cool. But here I am giving them the instructions. The instructions are also at the top of the page, but I just did word instructions there because I created a video on each slide. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes or less to just kind of play around with the tools on your screen. Ask any questions in the chat. I'm going to unshare my screen for a minute so that you don't see me crazy toggling between everything. And I want you to practice using the tools. Don't hit submit.
Lori, excuse me. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I'm on my iPad as my second screen, and it looks very different than what you have. So yeah. Can I still use that or no?
Absolutely, yeah. On the iPad, you have a few extra features, so they kind of move things around. And the pen tool sometimes will hover and show up when you tap near the bottom of your screen, or slide up from the bottom sometimes. So everything is there, and you actually have more functionality on the iPad. It's just you have to kind of click to find it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right, how are we doing on the tools? Does anyone have questions on what they see on their screen or how one of the tools works? We're all good? All right, I'm going to keep moving on. If you have a question, you can always unmute and ask. We're going to go to page 3. So page 3 is showing you another new feature where you can add multiple links to your page. What I did learn when I made this, though, is that the link icon shows up to the left of the item that you're linking. So I probably would spread these out a little bit so the links don't look like they're attached to the ones on the left. So the link you see for Seesaw 101 is to the left of it, but the one for 201 looks like it's kind of sitting on the 101. So I'm learning as I'm going too with some of the new features, but you're going to see that each of these are a link out to a lesson. So what we're going to do, I'm going to play the video. Did you get lots of ideas on how you could use those tools? Let's explore some more together, dive a little deeper, and really learn what Seesaw is about. So what you're going to do is I'm going to give you another 4 or 5 minutes to kind of just look through one of these slide decks. So instead of me spending time going on each of these slides, and you're all at different spots, some of you are brand new to Seesaw, some of you are masters of Seesaw, I want to give you time to kind of go on your own path. So this is a great place to put a choice board in. You know, your students are kind of feeling the same way. It's a great way to kind of organize to be able to differentiate for your students. So if you're brand new to Seesaw, go to Seesaw 101. if you've used Seesaw or you have a little knowledge, you might want to go to Seesaw 201. If you're confused, I mentioned a little bit about remote learning at the beginning, but if you want to learn more about setting it up for remote learning, go to this one. And then if you're very comfortable with Seesaw, but you want to see what's new, click on the What's New in Seesaw button. I will show you a video later that's going to showcase some of those as well. But I wanted to give you some time to explore. So you've got about 4 minutes to click on any of the links that interest you and just kind of go through the slide decks. All right, let's check in with you, see how we're doing. Questions on anything that you saw on the slides that you were looking at? You can type it in the chat or you can unmute and ask. Looks like we're good.
Yeah. Lori, when we're doing the activities for you, you don't want us to submit. Do we hit the draft thing though?
Don't do anything yet. I'm going to make you submit when we get to the end. And then I can show you everything on the end side of it. So we're going through it together. So like think of it, if you're doing a lesson with your class, you might have them do different activities and then submit finally at the end. We're just going to be working through this together.
All right, because I think I hit that draft before because I was trying to plug my computer and it was going to die. So I don't know if I missed anything or not.
That's all right. If let's say you were doing this in a remote setting and your student had to log out for whatever reason, that's a great way to do it, to teach them to use the draft button. So that's perfect. Yep. Stephanie asked, if you're 100% remote, how many activities should be done in a K-1 classroom? Jen, I'm actually going to ask you that one. Jen Heydrich teaches the young ones. How many did you typically give per week, let's say, or per day? You need to unmute.
Sorry, I turned on my camera, but not my mic. We use Seesaw as our primary method to assign all work. We typically did like 2 reading or writing activities a week and 2 or 3 math per week.
Perfect.
When we were in remote learning. I mean, if you're 100% remote starting this new year, those numbers may change, and I'm certainly not suggesting that's perfect, but that's where we were at in 2nd grade. I teach 2nd grade.
Yeah, and I would say that start small with less than you think, and then see how they're handling it, and then you can always build from there, right? Would you agree, Jen?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, especially as they're learning the tools. So, and I would suggest the first time you're giving your students a lesson on Seesaw that you do exactly what we're doing now, where you're walking them through the parts. It might only have 1 slide versus multiple slides to teach them how to use the tools. And I'm going to show you in the activities a couple really fun beginning of year ones that might be great for K-1. Yep, Stephanie said she teaches 3rd, and my mom is tagging on, and she teaches kindergarten. She's trying to learn the program since they're being required to do so. Yeah, it's a great program, especially for the littles. It's great for the high school too, and I'll show some examples of that too. All right, so we're going to move right along to the explain. So go down to slide 4, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. Like I said, I have a deep dive coming up at 1 o'clock today. If you want to go much deeper, we will spend more time on this. But I'm just going to show you the little video that I made here. I know you're all smiles because you're like, wait, I can do so much with this tool, but how do I get started? How do I actually get my kids on? How do I set up a blog? How do I make an activity? Let's do it. Let's go through it. Let's keep smiling. Okay, so on here with the explain, this is the step-by-step tutorials for getting your students in your class, using the activities, using the student work tab, and setting up the blog. So while we're not going to spend time on those things today, if there are things that you're interested in, you want to learn more on, either come to the afternoon session or you can do them on your own going through these actual tabs. But let me show you a little bit about what's new to Seesaw. So I added this as a link, but I made it big on your screen, and I'm going to hit play. So if you're not on my screen, am I sharing my screen? No. Let me present my screen. Sorry about that. Thought I was sharing. I forget that all the time. I'm going to hit the link, and you're going to watch the little video.
Welcome to What's New in Seesaw. This training is designed for free and paid teachers, coaches, and administrators who are excited about the updates to video, link, and draw and record features in Seesaw. Make sure your Seesaw class app is up to date and have another window or device ready to follow along with the steps. The right tools allow students to go beyond expressing their learning. The right tools support students to reflect on and deepen their learning. Seesaw's learning tools create powerful opportunities for deep learning. By the end of this video, you will know how to add a video and multiple links to the canvas, use draw and record across multiple pages, and view these dynamic posts in the Seesaw journal. Now you can add a video to the canvas. You can either record a video right in Seesaw or upload a video. Your video will appear on the canvas. Unlock your video by clicking the 3 dots, then drag the corners to resize it. Add labels, shapes, drawings, and photos to create multimodal learning experiences for students. In this video, the teacher modeled a math game students were assigned to play. If you're already on the canvas, aka the drawing tool, you can record or upload a video by clicking the camera icon, then video or upload. Seesaw Plus and Seesaw for Schools users, you can add 1 video per page on multi-page posts. With video on the canvas, teachers create dynamic activities, and students can show what they know in multiple ways, all in one place. There are some limits. You can have 1 video per page. If you record a video in Seesaw, it can be up to 5 minutes long, or upload videos smaller than 250 megabytes. Pause the video now, record a video, and use Seesaw tools to create your first video collage. Not only can you add video to the canvas, you can now add multiple links as well. This means you can integrate resources from around the web all in one place. Here you see 3 links to resources about the solar system. Students click on each link to access the resource. You can add a link to any picture, shape, or label. Simply click on the 3 dots, then click on Link. Seesaw Plus and Seesaw for Schools users, you can even link to pages of a multi-page post. When you have multiple pages, you'll see this option to link to another page. This feature is perfect for choice boards. Keep in mind that when you link to resources outside of Seesaw, students will be directed to that web page. Pause the video and play with adding links to the canvas. Our third update supports students to capture higher order thinking like never before. Draw and record across pages. All students can continue to use Draw and Record on one page. For Seesaw Plus and Seesaw for Schools users who have access to multi-page, students can now create one recording across multiple pages of a post. The recording saves as a new page. It becomes the first page of the post by default, but can be clicked on and dragged to another position if desired. All work completed while recording is saved on those pages. Students are able to capture how their learning connects, and teachers are able to see and hear this higher order thinking. Pause the video, brainstorm how your students can use Draw and Record across multiple pages to deepen learning. We even made enhancements to how you view these posts. When a post is added to the journal, all links remain clickable and all videos are playable. When there's a multi-page recording, viewers can play the recording and scroll through the remaining pages of the post. On mobile, you can view posts in portrait or landscape mode. When you play videos, you can also enter full screen. Thanks for learning with us today. We hope you love these updates. See you again.
All right, so those were just some of the updates. I'm going to skip over the apply, and I'm going to go over to the share page for a minute. So I want you to take a moment. I'm going to hit play while we do that.
You did it. You created something. So now, tell me.
I only see a black screen.
You only see a black screen. I'll stop presenting and then come back to it.
And it could just be me. I haven't been able to see anything for the last like 2 minutes.
Oh, that's no fun. You're listening to a video and not seeing it.
It's okay.
That's no fun.
There we go. I see it. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so here's the video.
Biggest celebration, biggest frustration, and what questions do you have?
Okay, so you can do this on Seesaw, or if you're more comfortable, just put in the chat. In these boxes, tell me one thing you're excited about with Seesaw, something you're frustrated with that maybe I can help you with, and any questions that you have. So you're going to do those 3 things on this page, or like I said, just throw it in the chat. I'm going to, well, I'll keep sharing my screen for now. It's not in your way. Yeah, choice boards are great. I have one coming up on choice boards. I'm going to be doing choice boards with Google Slides, but I think Seesaw is a really cool way to just kind of package it all together. Give you another minute to kind of finish this up. Set up activities only to find that they do not appear in some student accounts. So make sure that you're clicking all of the students in the class. So it might be that you're putting it into a folder that maybe not everyone has access to, or you're not clicking all students for that class. You might just be picking a few of them. That could be why, Krista. I'm celebrating the fact that I'm learning more. Yes. Yes. Wondering how often. Totally overwhelming. I'm with you. I learned Seesaw from a group of first graders. I went to a conference, and there was a teacher from Guilderland had brought about, I don't know, 4 or 5 of her students into the conference. and they actually presented how to use Seesaw. And so they were walking around over our shoulders telling us what to click. It was adorable. But it took me a couple more times of like watching and listening before I fully got what Seesaw did. And it has blown up since then. They're a really, really small company, by the way. There's only like 60 people in their whole company. It might be less. I might be expanding it too much. But they have been incredibly responsive since remote learning has started. They have daily webinars to help you out. They go super fast, those daily webinars. So I highly recommend that you sign up for them and watch them where you can pause as you're listening to it, because they go really fast. I wish there was a way to mark on student Canvas page without editing and having to go back. Yeah, I'm with you, Jen. I wish there was a way to edit it a little bit more or give feedback like that's over it. So I have seen one teacher, what she does is she takes a picture of it, and then she creates a video like on the Canvas and sends that video back to students without editing their actual work. It's a whole other step. But
yeah, I mean, there's a way to do it. Like, I just thought it would be cute. Like, I have all my little Bitmojis, and I'm like, it would be really cute if I could just put like a good job or something. But it's a whole, you can do it. It's just like a whole thing. It takes a long time. It'd be nice if you could just like provide that quick feedback easily, but
I agree.
It's a little thing.
Cool. Yes. Amy said she's frustrated that when you edit a community activity, the original creator's name is no longer there. Yeah. So because as soon as you edit it, it's not theirs anymore. It's now yours. But you could always go back to the community and grab it again. Yep. Yeah, Amy, I think you're with me. I think we learned together how to use Seesaw. Yep. So happy you can do videos in each page. Yep. Those are great. Awesome. All right. So I want to get you to I want to have some time to kind of go through a few other things. So we're not going to do the reflection or the extend for now. What I want you to do is click the check on your work. And that way it's sent to me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share I am sharing my screen. I'm going to go to the teacher side and show you what it looks like from the teacher side for our last 10 minutes or so together. So go ahead and submit that activity.
Lori, when my computer died and I went back in, I don't have anything in the Seesaw anymore.
So like you got logged out of Seesaw and you need to get logged back in?
Well, I logged in with a couple of those different things. Can you see any of my stuff on there? I got this orange thing that says draft, and if I bring it up, okay, never mind. Oh no, it doesn't erase all my stuff.
Oh, it could be what dropped out for a minute there. I'm not sure. Yeah. So come back to my screen. And I think I'm showing my screen, correct? Tell me if you don't see my screen.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm coming back to my screen. I want to show you what it looks like from the teacher's perspective now that you've submitted the work. At the top, I'm on the activities tab, by the way. And at the top, I see 11 responses waiting for teacher approval. And I'm going to click on the actual activity. And what I love about this is I can see the work. So Shannon, was it yours that's in draft?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So go ahead and hit the green check, and that's going to send it over. But what I love about this now is I can see everybody's who has submitted and who hasn't. So if I know that there's some students who haven't, I can grab their list of names, and I can send them a quick message or an email or whatever I want to do to kind of prompt them that they have something due, right? So trying to get them back on track there. But I could also go in and review anybody. So I'm going to pull up Emily's here. And I can see her, and I can see that she put some information. She's going through, she drew on some screens. I can take a look at any of the work that she's done. And then if I like it, I can just click approve, and off it goes. All right. And I can go back and do another student. But let's say, I just grab my own for a second here. Let's say I realize the student missed a box. All right. I can send it back to them. And they're gonna see that it's back in draft form. All right. So when I click back, now it's gonna show mine in draft. So that it'll tell me what I have to do to kind of fix it. And you'd have that conversation with your students to kind of let them know, what you're sending back and why you're sending those things back. But it's a great place to be able to take a look at it. If all of them are good, I can always click review right on the main page. I'm sorry. I could always go through and approve them all. It'll tell me that I have all of these that I have to approve, and I could just click approve all, and it will approve all of your work. Okay, so now if you go into your folder, you're going to see that activity.
Hey, Laura, I have a question.
Sure.
So when I just went through and I did everything, it kicked me out and it lost everything. Is that what's going to happen with students?
I haven't heard of that happening often. It could be that it just dropped your Wi-Fi and it hadn't saved yet. If the students don't click draft, it's not going to save their work. So you might want to teach them to practice doing that if they're going to like another page to remind them to save it. You could always do that, or stick to 1 or 2 page activities. This one was a long one because I had a lot of pages, but maybe stick to smaller activities that you know they could do in one sitting.
Lori, can you show us what the student sees when you send back an activity to them?
Yep, that's why I sent it to me so that you could see that. So here I am as a student, and here in my my student account, when I click on my inbox and I click on notifications, I'm going to see that it says teacher has sent back work for you to review, and they can click on it and click edit and go right back into it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right, and when they think it's good, they hit submit and off it goes back to the teacher to review again. Great question. What other questions? I heard some other people coming through. Okay. Couple of things, especially for some of you new people. If I click on the add button up at the top, I'm on the teacher side now, and you can see I'm in teacher because it says teacher on my screen here. I can always post student work. So I can always create everything that I created in that activity, I can create here. But if you create it here, it's just for this class. If you want to use it across multiple classes, you're more you'd rather do it in the activities. All right. I could also send announcements right from here. In the activities, it brings you out to your library. You can now organize your library by collections. So I have these collections at the bottom that you can create. Some teachers do it week to week. So they'll say week 1, week 2, or the dates, and create their collections that way so they know what they've assigned which week, and they find that to be helpful. Or you might do it by subject, however you want to organize your library. If I click over to the community library, that's where I'm going to find really great ideas and activities that I can use with my students. I mentioned there's a really good one for that beginning of school, like learning the tools, and it's by Ben Cogswell. If you don't know him, he's always one of the featured authors down here. He teaches kindergarten, but all of his activities are through videos with him as an astronaut, and then he's got puppets that he uses, and you can go through his activities and find some really cool things. Actually, I think I saved one in my library. That's the beginning of the year. Is it this one? First week of school. No, this one. Seesaw Tools Checklist Intro with Mr. Biscuit. So what he does here is, if I'm going to assign it to this class so I can show it to you. If I click on this one, just to kind of show you what it looks like, you'll see that he has a getting to know Seesaw Tools, and next to each one, it's going to bring you to the page that that you have to do that activity on. And here's his video.
Here are all the different tools that we're going to be exploring today. All you have to do is touch the little tool, and it'll take you right to the activity. Don't forget to come back to the checklist and let me know that you're done by putting a check in the box.
So you could do this as your first activity with your students, walk them through how to do all of this. I did this with a group of adults, and the toggling was a little difficult for some. So just know that this is something, that does take a lot of, skill between finding the pages, going back and forth. So it takes a little practice to do it. But when they click on the tool, it'll take them over to page 2. It tells them which tool to find at the bottom. And then they can pick whatever color they want, and they can write their name. I'm using a trackpad, so my handwriting will be horrible, but you get the idea. And they can go through and do each activity. The only one you have to be careful of, and just so you know, it takes you back to that link right by going back to page 1. The only one you have to be careful of is the video one. It says, is it this one? No, where's the one that video? This one. It asks you to put 2 videos in. You're only allowed to do 1 video per page, so you actually can't do this activity. So what I would tell your students is to delete out, whatever, I forget what the name of the puppet was, and then put their video in. So you might want to edit this screen because he has it that you do multiple, and you can't do multiple yet. You can only do one video per page. So it's a really great beginning activity to practice the tools, really great activity to do together with your students when you get started. Let's say you're in your community library. So I'm going to go back to that activity library, and you're in community and you found an activity that you love. So let's say this drawing shapes one. Let's just say you absolutely love this activity. Click the heart and it saves it right to your library. And then in your library, you can actually assign it to a collection. So I can click add to collection and I can put it in whatever collection I want it to go to so that it keeps it sorted for me.
Lori, can you talk about collections versus folders? So if I have my collections as subject by subject area, but then maybe could I use folders for the day of the week or for a full week, or how do I use the folders? What are they?
Yeah, so in your activity library, you have collections. There's no folders, right? So you have those there. But the folders that you're talking about are in your student's journal. So you'll see next to each student, right now there aren't any folders, but we can create them. And we can create them by going to the wrench and scrolling down to the part that says folders. And you click on manage folders. So here is where you can create, let's say, those weekly folders so the students know to go to one item. Or let's say you have multiple teachers that work within a classroom, you can have a folder for science, a folder for music, a folder for AIS, whatever it happens to be. They can have folders within that class so they know to just go to that folder for the work that's being assigned. You just click on create a new folder. We'll call this reading, give it a color, hit the check. And then you can organize your folders that way. Or you can say, week 1, and then the students know all of their work for that week will be in week 1, and so on. So you can choose it that way.
So then when I assign an activity, I'm assuming there's a spot to say which folder
yes
it should be in?
Yeah, and I'll show you that in just a sec. I want to show you this other part right here. It says show add to folder step. If you keep it as just teachers, your students can never choose a folder to put something in. You always have to do it for them. If you say students and teachers, then you could say create an activity right on your journal and then put it in this folder. So older kids probably can handle multi-steps. Your first grade, second grade, you might want to actually put it in the folder for them. All right, and let me show you where you're going to assign those activities to folders. So I'm going over to my activities library again. And I'm going to grab this drawing shapes one that I just did. I'm going to click on assign, and I'm going to click on the class that I want. But before I hit assign to class, I can click where it says edit students, folders, and skills. And I'm going to pick where I want it. So I'm going to say all students. I'm going to go over to folders, and I want this to go into week 1. All right, so you're always going to have that option to put it into the folder. You just have to toggle there. And when you hit check, it's going to put it into this blended learning workshop in one folder. All right, and when I assign it to that class, it's going to show up in the student folder. So when I go into activities, I'm going to see the different activities that are in there, but you'll see under the activity that this is actually labeled under which folder it's located in. Really good question. All right, we have come to the end of our hour. I knew this would be super fast. If you want more on Seesaw, we're going to do a much greater deep dive this afternoon. That's from 1 to 3. I only have 5 people signed up for it so far, so it's a really small class. Great time for you to ask questions. Feel free to join us if you'd like. Let's see. Jen, I showed you the notifications that it shows when you send it back. The students will see that in their inbox. Can you show? Yep, I did that. Talk about collections versus folder. We did that. How do you make it so on a teacher account you can toggle back and forth between teacher and student? I highly recommend on the teacher side that's the student side. Let me go back to the teacher side. On the teacher side that you have a sample student so you can always see what it looks like on the student side. I have different accounts, so sometimes I'll log in as a student on a different account. But if you go into your wrench, click down where it says enable sample student, and then you can do anything you want with that student. You can practice as a student what it looks like. Great question. All
Lori,
right. Yes.
Lori, how can we join the class this afternoon
Yeah.
If you've already done that, is there a quick way to do that?
Yeah, let me give you the link. I'll put it in the chat. Preview. And we're going to use that same format that we kind of did, but a much greater deep dive. So there is the link for you. Yeah, you can create a demo student. They call it a sample student. Yep, so you got that. Any other questions, or are we good? I know we're right at the noon hour. I'm going to send this video out to you. It takes, I don't know, about a half hour, 45 minutes to show up in my inbox, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Once I have that, I will send that to you with any resources I thought you'd like to have. Yeah. Oh, the blog. Yeah. But it might be good to put, I think it might be really good to do a session on Seesaw blogs. So I might throw something out there maybe this fall. That would be good. Have a great rest of your day. Sorry it's such a fast hour, but I'm gonna stop recording. So if you have any questions, you can certainly ask.